Let's go on to the next conversation.
Thank you.
So there's Senate clears fashion for ambassadorial role despite a protest. Now, this is someone that people have protested against, have accused him for sexual harassment, and it was raised yesterday on the floor of the House. And of course, you saw the way the Senate handled the matter. He also has 2 cases in court.
Why are you laughing like that?
Of course. But what's your take?
You see, sometimes I really ponder with the quality and content and composition of our legislation. Because for me, you can't ask. Have you watched Alibaba and the 40 Thieves of Reddit? You can't ask a thief. I've not mentioned who is a thief, though, but you can't ask a thief. It's a metaphor. You can't ask a thief to be a judge.
Okay.
Over a stealing each case involving a colleague or a fellow thief or a known thief. You see, what the legislature has done is a mockery of them. And when you hear, you say they are so dishonorable. When you hear the response that although it has not been proven in a court of competent jurisdiction, all you just need, the woman just called you and she we are not a pan. When you hear all that, it's laughable. Insane clients for the fact that somebody has made a complaint, even not to the court, having not started legal process, that professor first and foremost needs to be suspended and investigated. We're a country of retrogressive bureaucracy. That's what you see, because people have protested. A coalition of NGOs have protested, or civil societies have come to say this man has case of sexual harassment, case of
human rights
violation, and those are 2 very strong cases that the legislation doesn't need to throw away. But because you see, our politics have been so compromised by unethical conduct, so we are faced with look, this is a serious legislative matter. Look at the leadership of the Senate laughing. The only person that is making sense to me in that Senate, there are very few. The likes of what's his name again, Abariba, the other Yoruba, Tajo, what's his name there? Adam Soshomela started making sense since after the romance inside the airplane, when the boomerang against the started making sense now. Look at what Akpabio, the so-called Senate president, is saying on the floor of the Senate. Laughing ignominiously over the issue of the sea leg and all that. Look at the quality of leadership that we have. Nothing serious.
Do you know what I think about the Senate? I see the Senate as they make very serious matters so light.
Yes, you've just nailed it.
Like so light.
So light that
now somebody
they all look like players of this.
I'm telling you,
like partakers of the same crime.
You see a serious matter as sexual harassment. You suspended the person that laid the allegation.
Leaving
the person that was accused
or supposedly.
So I don't know if we are under we are not under competent leadership.
You can't take any case of sexual harassment to the National Assembly. It will be dead on arrival, because you are taking a case to the colleagues of the accused. However you want to look at it. I feel so pained with what I just saw. That is absurdity.
And even making a mockery.
Of our legislation. Yes, of the whole thing.
When we saw you massaging the leg of a woman, and we all thought it was AI. So that means then
these guys are.
It was debunked.
It was
with
debunked.
What the Senate president said now.
It's a clear indication. It's true. It's not. Forget it. They are all colleagues in the same romantic sphere. I feel so sick about our legislation and the quality of people we put in there. Well, most of them were not voted. They either came through selection, through imposition, or through the courts that has been so institutionalized. So that they are not truly the reflection of the people's wishes as representatives. That's why good men can't really go into politics in Nigeria.
Let's go to the next one. Now, the U.S. House of Representatives has decided to freeze. Before it was a 50% freeze, but now they have said it's now a 100% freeze. So the House has backed Nigeria's aid freeze over Christian persecution. They say that the Nigerian government must take a definitive stance on the issue of Christian persecution rather, in Nigeria. And let me also tie this with the fact that we now have a Muslim ticket for 2027 for the APC. When you look at what the US has done and what Nigeria is building ahead of 2027, how do you put all of these together, and how much does it affect us?
Well, the US have done what the US have done is more about international politics than vendetta. You see, the truth is, at times for you to tackle issues of insecurity, issues of insubordination, international insubordination, you have to use economic sanctions, and that is the only way most countries and most issues are resolved. Economic sanctions. It's the option available before you talk of any form of confrontation or what have you. But where I hold, where I have a caveat on this policy of the Americans is the fact that the problem is not only about Christians. So when they restrict it to Christians have been killed, Nigerians are being killed. Every life matters. Muslims are being killed. Traditional worshippers are being killed. We have these bandits and insurgents do not seek anything, do not give leverage to any religious affiliation. Whether or not you're a Christian, a Muslim, a pagan, or an atheist, a Buddhist, a Judaist, they don't care. What they care about is using you as a pawn, as a collateral damage, to negotiate terms for themselves, especially financial terms. And in most cases, people end up with losing their lives. So when the Americans emphasize and restricted alone to the issue that Christians are being killed, I totally disagree on that.
Isn't it such a way creating some sort of division?
Yeah.
Like,
because
they are now centering it on just Christians.
If they make it look like Nigerians have been killed, yes, there will be. When there will be a lot of people. We're a very, very sectionalized country. Don't forget anything people will tell you. We are divided along ethnic and religious line. But if they had come out to say we are fighting the cause for Nigerians, that Nigerians are being killed, it will be more holistic. This statement alone is sectional. They will look at it. Nigerians on the other side of the divide, we look at it that it was religiously instigated or politically instigated by the opposition or by other religious aficionados to seek international relevance against, like you said, a Muslim ticket. But then let's go to the Muslim ticket you talked about. It's laughable when people talk about Muslim ticket or Christian Muslim ticket. It's all about the individual. Let me tell you, competence, it's not about religion. Competence is about the personality, the quality of the personality or the quality of leadership. You see, America has had Christians and Muslims as leaders. Barack Obama was a Muslim, but it was well grounded. Let's go back to the early days of Nigeria. We started a federation. Collectively, the different religious minds, the likes of Ahmad Bello, Abed Macaulay, yes, Ahmad Bello, Tafawa Balewa, Nanda Azikiwe, Michael Okpara, Chief Anthony Enahoro, Chief Dennis Osatebe. These are some of the veterans of the federation called Nigeria today. They fought for our independence, and at the inception of independence, collectively we saw unity amongst the 6 geopolitical zones. They were united in governance and bringing to the center. We had the Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa. We had the President who was Nanda Azikiwe. And in that time, nobody was talking about all we're saying now. It was all about Nigeria. It was not all about Northwest or Northeast, because those regions were strong in financial base, in agricultural base. I'm sure most of our kids these days, they don't know what export crops are. They don't know what cash crops are, and they don't really know much about agriculture. But most of these regions were gaining revenue from exportation. And that is where the unity, they paid money to the center, but now the center allocates FAC allocation to the states and local governments. It's laughable. Now, what are we talking about? Now, at that time, nobody was talking about whether Tafawa Balewa was a Muslim or Azikiwe was a Christian. They didn't put them in that line. Nobody was talking about when Awolowo was the premier. Nobody talked about whether I was a Muslim or whether I was a Christian. And leadership transcends beyond religious affiliation. It looks at your capacity to deliver the dividends of democracy. Vis-a-vis the dividends of leadership, it is responsibility, it is communication, it is accessibility, it is dignifying, and most importantly, leadership requires a flagrant ability for you to be receptive to people and their opinions. Do not be so. When I look at the issue of the divide, we're talking about Muslim ticket. For me, it's my own personal opinion. It doesn't arise. What I want is quality leadership for this country, a leadership that is responsive. Okay, let's look at before we'll call it a day. Let's look at Abiola and Kijigbe, 1993, SDP, NRC. For NRC, you had Tofa, Ibrahim Tofa as the representative. SDP, we had Abiola, who was a Muslim, and Babagina Kijigbe, who was a Muslim. And I must tell you, Christain, we had more Christians voting for both of them.
It was widely accepted.
More Christians voted for Muslim ticket of Abiola and Kijigbe. One thing that people don't know, Nigerians vote for personalities, not your religious affiliation. So, unfortunately, people with integrity don't want to venture into politics because they understand with all what you are saying, Nigeria is in a political mess, a cancerous political mess. And so, you don't want to lose your life, you don't want to lose your family, you don't want people die, no accountability, and students are weak. So let us reference to 1993 and see how loving Nigeria.
But there is still a problem of federal character.
Yes, you see, that is our biggest problem. Federal character has killed a lot of things. When I attended the federal government college, and I remember when we are the Southerners were writing common entrance, our cutoff mark will be 90-something or 80-something, especially those from Bendel, Anambra, Ondo, then Ondo. There's recently Ondo and Ekiti. Anambra was Anambra and then Imo, which comprised Abia, Rivers. They had, especially these first 5 are the highest cutoff. Now, when we go for interview, it's the same thing. Now, I will tell you something that will shock you. When we got to the school, we found out that people that scored between 0 and 10, we were scoring 70-something, 80-something, 90-something in interview to get to federal government college in the north. Meanwhile, their own state were sponsoring them at 5%, 0 to 5%. They come to the same federal government college, all because of quota system. Now, when they come from JS1, first and second thing, they are not communicant. They can't speak English. They struggle to speak. Today, some of them are in the National Assembly. Some of them have been governors. Some of them are in the House of Rep. Not because they are more intelligent, but because the system does not encourage intellectual competence. That is why Nigeria will continue to be the way it is. You will see their level. When you look at the kind of bills they bring in, when you look at the level of thought process, that's the word. You want to whip for this country. So it's sad because there's no equity. And look at now, when you look at the NMPC, the intellectuals, the engineers that are holding positions are from Northern
Extraction. They cannot help our refineries function.
They cannot help our refineries. But when the real people that are, if you want to see go to universities in the South, where I'm not trying to disabuse universities in the North, but there's a big gulf between graduates here and graduates there that it takes time to breed. But we have a lot of intelligent Northerners. They have these, we name them, Bello Baba Buhari, these are people, most of them, especially those of them that school abroad, most of them after secondary school, they continue their studies abroad. That's the elite's children. But we're not talking about the elites now. Then for job, quota system, there is no everything. Meritocracy must be brought back for us to have to fight corruption, to fight mediocrity in the service, to fight intellectual deficiency, to fight complex in international sphere.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Would it cause a stir and an uprising, if it's other way? Christian.
It will. That is it will cause a serious opera.
Okay.
Seriously, you allow me to explain.
1 minute.
Okay. Why would it cause an opera? With an open mind, I will tell you. Christians are not reactive to impulse by politicians, or they don't follow, they think before they follow their instructions, and they are not emotional in assessment. But you see, because there's a divide, you know, they're different. You have Yoruba Muslims are different from the Northern Muslims, and we have fanatical Muslims. Muslims are peaceful people, but the people that will react
are the
fanatical ones who don't understand the ideology behind Islam. Those are the people that will react. They don't understand the ideology. Islam is a peaceful religion, but because those fanatics have been extremely compromised by manipulative scholars and politicians, and they have infiltrated their lack of depth, their ignorance. Those guys are like zombies in that stage. Immediately they throw a narrative to them, they act. But unfortunately, that's the situation where we found ourselves.
We'll continue this conversation in another medium. Let's call it a day on this morning. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you very much, Mr. Koza, for your wonderful analysis. And that is a wrap